Alright, hello everyone. Wanted to finish up some notes from the past couple days. These are from parts 1 and 2 from the files that I uploaded in Google Classroom, okay? And so here I got started on this one here. This is from part 1, the second number 1, okay, at the middle of the page. And so we've got a difference of 2 squared situation here, x squared minus 4. So we know that's going to factor into x plus 2 and x minus 2, right? And then these factors of x plus 2's can cancel out. And so then we also have 1x here and an x down here, but that only takes away one of the x's in the denominator, right? And so what we've got for leftover is we have 3 over 5x times the quantity x minus 2. All right, and then we gotta state the excluded values, right? Remember, the denominator can't be 0, and so we're gonna take the pre-canceled factored version of the denominator and set those equal to 0 and solve. All right, and so x cannot equal 0. That's from 5x squared, and then also negative 2 and positive 2 from these two factors. This next problem here, so we take out a GCF of x, and that's x times x plus 1. And in this denominator, we take out 2. And up here is, we gotta remember how to factor cubes, right? The sum of cubes. And so I put this little reminder up here. And so then that factors to x plus 1 times x squared minus x plus 1. And then we can tell that the x plus 1's cancel out. We also have 2 and 12, right? 12 divided by 2 is 6. So we have that. And I don't think there's anything more we can do. This quadratic here cannot factor, right? And so we've got 6 times x squared minus x plus 1 over x times 2x minus 1. And again, we have to include our excluded values, right? Excuse me, x cannot equal 0. That comes from this x, okay? And also negative 1 from here. And then from 2x minus 1, when you solve, that's going to be 1/2, right? Okay, this is the last problem on part 1, okay? When you have a fraction over a fraction, okay? Meaning, division, really, right? And so if we think of the top fraction as the purple and the bottom fraction as the red, okay? So we have 4 minus x over 4 plus x. And then remember, you can't divide by fractions, or you can't divide by a denominator when we do fraction work, right? But you can multiply by the reciprocal. And so that's why I went straight to the multiplication symbol. And I'm going to take the reciprocal of this fraction right here, and I'm going to flip it, right? So I've got x squared minus 16 over 4x. And again, up here, I have a difference of squares situation, right? 4 plus x we can rewrite as x plus 4. Okay, since it's addition, we can switch it around by the commutative property. If you want, we also talked about you can take out a negative 1, and then that can switch as well, all right? And so we've got, if you notice here, I switched that to x plus 4. This factors to x plus 4 and x minus 4, and you can tell that the x plus 4's are going to cancel out. Oops. Okay. And so since there are 2 x minus 4's, right, that's going to be negative and then x minus 4 squared over 4x. And our excluded values are going to be negative 4. That comes from this one here. And 0, which comes from 4x, right? All right, this is number 4 in part 2, right? Remember we started adding and subtracting rational expressions, and so we need a common denominator here, right? And so these are different denominators right now. And one thing you could do, right, to get common denominators is to multiply them. And so our common denominator is x plus 1 and x minus 1, right? Well, the left fraction, I had to multiply by an x minus 1. And if I multiply that down here, I have to multiply up here by the same, right? Because really, if you think about it, you're multiplying by a factor of 1, right? This represents 1. It just looks like x minus 1 over x minus 1. And so we're going to multiply that over here, right? Then this other fraction, we multiply by x plus 1, right? And the same on the numerator. And so this is what it looks like over here. Okay. So now what you got to do is you have to distribute this x. You have to double distribute here. All right. And so that's x squared minus x. And then over here, that's going to be, it ends up being 2x squared minus x minus 3, I believe. Okay, after you combine like terms. And that's a plus sign. I put it all over the same fraction here, or same denominator. Okay, and then in the numerator, I'm going to combine like terms to get 3x squared minus 2x minus 3 over our denominator here. And I don't think there's anything more you can do with that. And so we should state our excluded values here. Okay, x cannot equal 1. I'm going to write this out. X cannot equal 1 and negative 1. All right. Okay, so for this one, this is number 5. It's the very next one, right? I'm going to factor this denominator first into x minus 1 and x minus 1. Okay, and this one, this left fraction, is missing another x minus 1. All right, so we need to multiply another one here on the bottom and also on the top. Okay, so what we end up with, and I think what I did here was I tried to put it in as one fraction already. All right, this x minus 4, it already has both of the x minus 1s, and so you do not need to multiply another one up here. All right. Okay, so this is what I have right now. So I'm going to distribute the 3x. And also don't forget, for a subtraction, you got to think of that as distributing a negative 1. Okay, just over the years of teaching this, a lot of students forget that. Ooh, let me go back. Okay. Okay, so I've got 3x squared minus 3x from distributing here. This is going to be a minus x and then plus 4, right, over, we have x minus 1 and x minus 1. Okay. I'm going to combine like terms here. That's going to be 3x squared minus 4x plus 4 over our denominator. All right. And you can check, all right, I don't think this factors, and so at that point we're done. Okay. Our excluded values here, there's only, there's 2 factors, but it's the same factor, right? And so x cannot equal 1. Okay, so for number 6, we're almost done here, all right? When you have 1, right, and if our denominator on the other fraction is x, then we can rewrite 1 as x over x in order to have common denominators, right? So that's really x plus x, x over x plus 1 over x. And we can do the same over here, right? This one can also be written as x over x, right? And so this top numerator here, the top portion, we're going to write that as x plus 1 over x. And on the bottom, we're going to write it as x minus 1 over x. And so here's that situation again where you have a fraction over a fraction. And so we're going to take the top fraction, x plus 1 over x, times the reciprocal of the bottom, right? And so you can tell the x's cancel out, right? And so we have x plus 1 over x minus 1. Okay. And our excluded value actually is coming from the original fractions, right? And so we're going to have x cannot equal, right? These cannot be 0. Okay. All right, this last one, this is like 2 problems in one. Okay. It's like number 6, but even longer to work out. Okay. So first you got to add the fractions up here, right? I'm noticing this x plus 2, it needs to multiply an x plus 1 because that's the other denominator. Okay. So that's what I did on the top and the bottom. This fraction needs to be multiplied by an x plus 2, right? So that's what I did here on the top and bottom. Okay. So then what I end up with is x plus 1 times x minus 2 plus, right, x minus 1 times x plus 2. Okay. I think I worked out just the, oh no, okay, on the bottom, then this needs to be multiplied by an x on the top and bottom. And over here, this one needs to be multiplied by an x plus 1. So then what I have, x times x is x squared. I just did that right away. And so this is what I have here. So what I have to do now is, in the numerators, I have to double distribute and then combine like terms, and same thing over here. All right. So up here, this is x squared minus x minus 2. This becomes x squared plus x minus 2. Okay. So this simplifies to 2x squared minus 4. And then that's going to be 2x squared minus x minus 3. And also don't forget, since it's a subtraction, you have to distribute that negative, right? Okay. And so that's going to be negative x squared plus x plus 3, right? Because negative times negative here. Okay. And then, now what we got to think about is, well, we still have a fraction over a fraction, so now we got to simplify that, right? Okay. So I continued my work over here. I think I took out a 2. I factored it, right? GCF of 2 to get 2 times x squared minus 2. Right. And then times, right, we're going to flip this over, right, the reciprocal. So we get that. Okay, now I think there's only one thing that cancels out. That's x plus 1. All right. And so we've got all of this left over here. Okay. All right. And then we have our excluded values as well. Okay, so these come from the factored versions, right? So this x plus 1, we solve for that. That's going to be negative 1. X plus 2, that's going to be negative 2. Over here, x is just 0. And then x plus 1, that's going to be negative 1. Okay. All right. So that's that. Okay. If you have questions, please shoot me an email. All right. And I will try to be quick in my response. And you've got a little bit of homework. All right.